Hi, my name is Stephanie and this is a book channel. Today I will be reading Someone You Can Build a Nest In, which is going to be my first horror ? I have read stuff that's in the horror section, however, I don't think any of it was actually horror. Okay, so the horror genre starts here at the Chalkman and goes through all the way to the Vampires of El Norte. And you can see when I read a book, I put this little sticker at the bottom so that I know that I've read it. And I've read Home Before Dark, Lock Every Door, and The Vampires of El Norte, which I think is more of a romance than a horror. Your girl's got anxiety, okay? So I love a happily ever after. However, I was very intrigued by Gavin and Katie and Gabby's review of this book. They all gave it 5 stars. So I was like, I probably have to try this one. So I'm gonna check in when they checked in. That was my cat. Don't knock that over, please. I'm gonna read it in the same chunks that they did and check in those parts. Okay, time to check in since I've finished parts 1 and 2. So far what I like is Shisha Shen's perspective as an outsider, but not just an outsider of like a community or anything like that, but an outsider as a non-human. Some of her observations are really funny and some of them are like a little hurtful. And you're like, oh, okay, yeah, true. If I fell off a cliff, I'd hope somebody would help me. Of course you hope that. Nobody actually helped each other. That's why people had religions, hoping gods would provide help where people refused. Ow. The other thing I like is that Homily, who's the love interest, I'm talking about this like it's a romance. The other thing that I like is that Homily is described very objectively, and objectively she's like fat and has pockmarked skin and unruly hair. And I like that Shisha Shen likes those things. She's talking about when they're dancing, she's talking about being up close to Homily's warmth and their bodies pressing in places. And it's just sort of like, this is a pleasant experience for Shisha Shen, being next to someone who's large and warm. We also, at the end of chapter 12, just got the little plot twist that Homily is the sister of Wolfire, whatever his name is. And they need to capture the monster's heart, the monster being Shisha Shen, obviously. So Shisha Shen's just decided that Homily is the love of her life, and Homily has just revealed that her family needs to kill Shisha Shen to release a curse. So can't wait to see how that's going to shake out. So I'm going to keep reading and check back in after parts 3 and 4. Okay, I just finished parts 3 and 4, so it's time to check in. We met Homily's shitty family. So I personally think that they're a little bit too comically evil, which is interesting in contrast to Shisha Shen, the actual monster. There's a little bit more, shall we call it, action in here. Less of Shisha Shen's internal thoughts. But there's still some funny moments, like the deer antlers being tied to the sheep and trying to pass that off as a monster. I thought that was kind of funny. I don't really think I have that much to say at this point, probably because I'm hungry. So I'm gonna go make lunch and I'm gonna keep reading. I'll catch up with you after the next 2 parts. Okay, so I've obviously taken a little bit of a break. I finished part 5 and then I lost momentum. And I don't want to keep reading tonight, but I do want to finish a book today. It's 7:45 now, so I think I'm going to continue. I really don't want to. It's nothing against the book. I just am not in it anymore. Let's try again. Okay, it's many hours later, and I have finally finished part 6. I told myself I could get on TikTok for a couple minutes. It was not a couple minutes, it was much longer than that. So what happened in part 5? Oh, first of all, I knew something was gonna happen with Blueberry. Fuck Epigram, or whatever the fuck her name is. Fuck her big time. Also, I'm glad Oak got eaten. Then what else happened? Oh, I thought it was funny that Shisha Shen was like, oh my god, my heart, like, it's not supposed to be doing this. And then she's like, oh, that's because it's an egg sac. A sharp, pointy egg sac. And I thought it was interesting that the monster that attacked them in the camp was the blob that she left after feeding off those people. I probably should have seen that coming, but I did not. So that was a fun little moment for me. And then in part 6, the reveal was that the Baroness was actually Shisha Shen's mother, and she was a worm creature, which I did already know because I watched the spoiler vlog. I wonder how I would have been affected if I hadn't known that. But I guess we'll never know. I did, however, despite the spoilers, forget that Homily, her sister, I like that. Slit that bitch's throat big time. Good for her. I'm still liking it. Very generally, I like the writing. So now I only have parts 7 and 8 to get through. I don't really remember what happens from the spoiler vlog, so this should be fun and interesting. I think it's like maybe 50 pages, I'm not sure. So I will report back after that. Okay, all done. Hold on, I have to find one of my favorite quotes from like the entire book. I thought this was so funny. You want me to name you and you don't care what? The puddle of my girlfriend's parts doesn't care so long as I talk to her. The puddle of my girlfriend's parts, please. I like that Shisha Shen gave up her eggs to kill the Baroness to save her offspring. I felt like that there's something in there. I also like that she kept her offspring separate. They described a certain time where she had the offspring like in a pocket or something, and I imagined Shisha Shen as a kangaroo and the offspring as a little Joey in her pouch. Also, when Shisha Shen was talking about hibernating, how she felt like she was still exhausted because she couldn't sleep, she was so worried about everything, that was uncomfortably relatable to me. So after finishing my first horror book, I will say I'm not really sure what constitutes horror. I'm not sure where I've landed on any of this. Because I feel like this also isn't really horror. Is it just horror if you talk about body parts? Actually, her describing like trying to keep the eggs inside her body was the most horrifying to me, not the rebuilding of limbs or anything like that. So, don't know what that says about me. I don't really give things star ratings. I mostly am just like a vibes type of person. If I had to give this a rating, I don't know, maybe a 4 or a 4.5. Like, I don't have any suggestions of things that could do better, but it also wasn't like completely enthralling me. It didn't really keep me 100%. I did really like it though. Thank you to Gavin and Katie and Gabby for putting this book on my radar. I'm glad that I read it. I think that's it, so thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye!